starting here in a second. Let's just all be quiet. No talking, so people can just watch a quiet meetup. Just kidding. So speaking of these layouts and stuff, I do want your opinion. Some of these layouts have animations turned on, and like things are flying in, they're fading in, and all that stuff. Do you guys use a lot of animations when you're doing layouts for your websites? Because I find it's a huge performance hit right away. The clients like it initially, but then eventually we just turn it all off because it's too much for them. They don't like it or whatever. So I'm just curious what your
fun for a minute.
Yeah, but when their account slows down and they don't like the fact that their website is slow.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it this way. There's so many bells and whistles on a lot of websites, not just Divi. And, you know, you go and the first time you see it, woo, but if you keep, the whole idea is that people keep coming back to your website for whatever, especially if it's a blog or an informational site or WooCommerce, you want them to come back. But if it's annoying after a while, they won't. So like I tell the Atlanta group all the time, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And if you do, sparingly for those animations and things, it can get, and once you do them on the home page or whatever, you have to look at it on, what does it look like on the tablet? What does it look like on the phone? And then some things don't always work the same way, and you either have to turn it off for the phone or what. So it's a lot of extra work to turn things off for responsive mode sometimes. So I say sparingly, definitely, because it can get old fast if it's too much bouncing around. Not only that, for the accessibility too reasons. There are some people with, like myself with vertigo. Sometimes I see these things and I go, whoa.
Right. I have the same problem. Vertigo.
Yeah. Especially with parallax too, this parallax effect. Sometimes I have to just close my eyes and get to the next section because it hurts. So yeah, but there's a lot of, the accessibility thing going on right now. So you have to think about that too.
So if you get a client that asks for animation because they saw it on another website, do you deter them or do you say, yeah, we can do that?
Because by the time they see what I will do with it, it's usually not as crazy as maybe what they saw. It's sometimes a watered down version. And they forget about the other because theirs looks so good. So because it's theirs and they're excited. So I take everything that they say into consideration. And then if they go, no, I really want that, I'll go, okay. And then I list the reasons why they should or shouldn't and do it. And then of course they pay me more to undo it. So, all you can do is, be the designer and give them all the information you can, but it's their money. So.
Oh, totally agree. That's how I feel. I was just curious if I was the only one on this boat.
I would never tell anybody no. I would just sort of say, well, you sure?
Well, I try and give them the pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
Try and counsel them as it looks really cool now, but you should update it on a regular basis. And if you update it, that's, more time, more money. And also it's going to slow your site down. I also sometimes say, if you want that cool animation for marketing purposes or bringing somebody into your website, build a landing page so it's not just your homepage, or that. And once your customers get to know you, they don't have to go to that same page every time and go through that animation.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I like animation.
But what kind of animation?
Separate it into categories. Animation for things that twirl around windows. I don't like the excessive animation, but if you're just talking about, if you look at some of the layouts, for example, we have images that fly in from the side. Those come in. I think those are too much. They usually have like I don't know, I think it's like 50% animation sliding in, so half of it is shifted in. If you switch it to about 4%, it'll be very slight. It'll be just like,
Yeah.
that's perfect. I love that level, because when you scroll through a page, like a regular flat static page, it looks very boring. But with a 4% slide left, slide right, slide up, slide down.
Or even fade in, fade out. Or come
I just
in
use
and
the slider.
overlap. Oh, the ones that overlap just a little bit. Yeah, that's slight. That's what I'm saying.
4%-ish, that range. When you scroll it up, it looks beautiful.
Right, because it creates this every slight movement and it captures attention. Because I was able to do that with one client, and it just came up softly, and the client said, "Oh, I really like that. That's incredible." Because it just eased in very slowly, and they like that.
And it too depends on the client. If you have a hip hop group, or some I don't know, recording company, or something that's out there that's really likes all that, and their clientele and demographics are into all of that, then of course it works. But if you're doing somebody's, personal, consultant website, they don't need all that flying around stuff. That could get really busy. So I think it depends on the client, their demographic.
It depends on the levels. Too much animation is bad for anything.
Oh, that's true. I agree. Too much animation is bad for anything. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate the feedback, because sometimes I put it in, or it came with like a layout or pack or whatever. But 99% of the time I end up disabling all animations, because it just doesn't do anything, doesn't add anything to the page. So, yeah. Another question I have for you guys, since you are all build Divi websites, do you guys use the default navigation like header, or do you use Theme Builder to create custom navigation?
I've used both.
Yeah, both.
I
What
think
do you prefer?
it depends on the client. It depends on the site. If it's how deep into a designed site I need to get for a particular client. So I have used both.
I worked until they had to go out of business because of COVID last year, but I worked for a company who did events, and all their websites were the brochure websites, and they were pretty much, I don't want to say cookie cutter, because they all had their own event theme, but they were the classic logo, menu on the side. That was basically it. And the first client I got outside of that this year was a building liquidators site. And so in their header, they wanted their hours, they wanted their their location, they wanted their phone number, all that had to be up at the top. So this was my first one where I built the menu on a separate line underneath the header. So I did use the theme builder for that, because I could put in all of that with the columns and all that stuff very simply, just like I would any other section. So that was the first time I'd really used the theme builder for the header menu section. I found it really easy to use, and it was quite cool. However, if I were just doing a basic site, I don't know that I would. If I just, need that default look. And I'll tell you why. Because we all do the responsive thing. Making the changes for the CSS changes for tablet and phone was a bear with the theme builder. And the reason is I made it look really good on the desktop, and it looked okay on the tablet, but when it went to the phone, or was it a tablet, whichever, for some reason Divi put a different class name on the same element. So it would be, instead of column 1 blah blah blah, they put an ET or EB hyphen column 1. So none of the CSS that I had looking really good as far as padding and all that kind of stuff worked because that EB was there. So I had to go back in and do all of that also for whichever device that was. I found that very frustrating. I didn't understand why it needed that other class because it was just extra work for me. And it wasn't something I could do in the module itself. It was something so specific that it needed to be done in CSS. So I found that odd that and cumbersome and time consuming that they added that extra class designation, which then deleted all the CSS I had done. So for the desktop version, I didn't understand why that was that way, but I guess they have a reason.
I haven't ran into that. I have very much adopted the theme builder way of doing the navigation. Because it seems like with a lot of the sites that I work on, they always come back and want something additional added to it, whether it's like a CTA button or their hours or something additional that kind of breaks the mold of the default. And so to save myself time down the road, I just start it in Theme Builder and build it out that way. I haven't seen too many things, going from the different sizes, tablet and mobile, where it kicks out any customizations. But using Theme Builder, you still have the mobile and tablet options you can do.
I know what it was, where it happened. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. It was when I used the product pages. When I used the Theme Builder and I wanted the same, and I copied the same header and put it on the page for products, it added a DB. So it was ET-DB something. So it's like, and it would do the same for a post page, or it would do anything that was, those post project pages that are different than a normal page.
Yeah.
For some reason, it would, even though I copied that global header over to that new template for that particular page, it added another CSS. So I had to go back in then and redo all the CSSs for those pages. That's what it was.
I
didn't understand why. To me, if you copy it over, it should be the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you, when you're adding your CSS specifically for the header, do you use the page settings custom CSS box, or do you go to the theme option, scroll down to the bottom, and add your CSS there?
It depends. If it's something like a header that is like global, like I use just regular the theme option CSS because it's so much. But if it's one little thing, like I want to change which I have to do a lot, line height for one little thing on the phone. And I'll do it right in there instead of having to so that depends. But I did find that quite frustrating when I was trying to build a WooCommerce product page, and the whole header, I had to completely go in and add all this new stuff to it.
But doesn't it have something to do with the actual WooCommerce header on that page, or not at all?
No, it shouldn't, because I use the template builder. So I took the global header that I'd already created for the rest of the site and copied it over and put it on that product page template. So it was the same one. So it should have, in my opinion, been the global header. I mean, if it's global, it's global. But what happened was that template for that product page put an additional CSS on the ET, which is the elegant themes, put a different CSS on there on just that header part. And I was shocked at how much extra work I had to do to make that work, to make it look like everything else. So anyway.
I've never ran into that problem.
With WooCommerce or posts and pages? Or?
Yeah, because I use Theme Builder a lot. I've loved that addition to Divi because I create all kinds of templates for posts, for products, for custom post types, for 404 pages, all of it. I use the Theme Builder. I've never had an issue with the navigation changing with these different templates.
Can I show you? I'll show you what I mean.
Yeah, please.
Here,
Yeah, I want to see what you're talking about.
Well, let me share my screen. You'll be so excited. No, okay. How do I do this? How do I share screen here?
So when you move your mouse and hover towards the bottom there in the lower right, it says present now.
It does. Oh, there it is. Okay. Entire screen. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Why is it blocking? I don't get this. Are you seeing it? I don't think so.
No, we're not.
Okay, hold on. Why is it doing this? I don't have this issue with, won't allow. Select window, working session, get help with your Divi website. All right, let's try that. No, that wasn't it. There we go, I guess. Okay.
Ah, there we go.
Dum, dum, dum. Okay. Do you see that?
Yep. Well, we can see the
always-
meetup.
Okay. Okay. And that wasn't what I wanted. I apologize. I've never done this. Use camera, share the screen. Get out of there. Select the window. Entire screen. There we go. Now can you see Notepad?
Yep.
Okay. So here's the CSS for this particular website. And this is the global header, nav bar padding adjustments that I made.
Is there a way you can like enlarge the font just a little?
No, can't
Come
you
on.
see that?
You don't need to
Hold
do
on.
that.
I'm trying. I don't think you guys want my face that close to the
I'm
camera.
sorry. Let's see if I can get it to go bigger. All right. Zoom. There we go. Wait a minute. Okay. Control plus. Oh, come back. Yeah, is that better?
Yep, that's great.
Okay. I can get
Thanks.
this. You're welcome. Yeah. Okay. So let me put on glasses where I can see. So this was when I created the global header to begin with. This was the CSS I used to adjust the padding above and below on the menu. So
Okay.
this was that, and it all worked fine. It worked perfectly. Then I went in and added, once the site was built and everything was good, then we went into phase 2, which was adding WooCommerce.
Mm-hmm.
And I just copied here, I'll show you what I did. I copied you know how that works, right? Copied the, I don't know if it's still there. Yeah, I deleted it. Okay, so I made a new template, and I copied the header, global header, and moved it to the new template. And I made the template for, product pages, just like I'm supposed to. And I copied both header and footer. And then I created my template in the middle for all the products. No big deal. And I saved it. And then when I went to those pages, the header was all off. It was the footer too, the spacing and everything. So what happened was I looked, and they added, instead of PB, they added this whole other
DB, huh?
They added that. So it was not the same CSS is what I'm saying.
Right.
For the WooCommerce pages. So I had to go back in
Oh, I
and copy
see.
what it was and put the exact same. All I did was copy this and put in the new CSS, but I had to do that for every little thing that I did. You can see how, you know, everything I did above that, I had to do the same thing for the WooCommerce pages. And I found that, like I said, cumbersome and a pain to do. And I didn't know why. I mean, to me, once you copy this global header, it should be the global header no matter where you put it, in my opinion. And of course, I didn't set up a blog. I don't know if it's the same for a blog or a project page. I didn't set up either one of those, but so that's what I was talking about. It added this weird extra different CSS than what was there originally. So instead of just being EP full width menu like it is here, it added this whole thing at the beginning. Same with the footer. It had a different. So I maybe I missed something. I have no idea.
The way that it's set up, when it added the ETDB in front, that's doesn't affect the one that you already pre-specified, the one above it. So
Yeah,
first,
it did.
my first comment is you're specifying a lot of the CSS elements one after the other after the other after. So that is not necessary to go to that level of specificity.
Mm-hmm.
You can condense it to less, and by using less of the components, you avoid the possibility of you interjecting an incorrect one and now it won't work. So so that's the first comment. You don't try to specify less items versus being truly explicit. The next comment I have is when you want to modify CSS on certain elements, it's good to add the CSS class under that. When you go to one of the, whatever the element is, and you go to the advanced tab, there's a CSS ID or a CSS class. Put your own class in there, whatever your, XYZ header or XYZ footer or whatever you want to put in there, so that it's something that's going to be very specific to you, just like how they use ET dash something, elegant page, right? So you come up with your own one, ABC dash something. So when you now specify it, even if the elegant themes changes the name and you see how specific those things are, dash dash with logo, dash dash without logo. Those things, when you start flipping and editing your design, it's going to mess up your CSS if you're specifying to that level of specificity. So the other thing that affects it is when they change names and so forth. So that's why it's a good idea to add your own CSS class to those items that you want to modify and specify on your own. So those were the two comments I made.
Well, thank you. I will look into that for sure. I mean, I have always just whatever elegant themes put in there, that's what I use.
Yeah, they change it is the problem, and it changes when you, just like how you do it. When you moved it to a thing, it changes the name, the location, and that's I don't know. Anyway, so I find it best to try to specify minimally and use your own codes.
It's a very good suggestion. Thank you. And so, Dustin, to answer your question, I've used both too for the headers, the theme builder and the default. But with the theme builder, that was the one confusing thing that I found was that it didn't use the custom across all pages, all product, all posts without adjustment, which I found odd.
Yeah, so I'm looking at a page right now that I'm using a theme builder template for a WooCommerce product page, and I'm not seeing it adding in the ETDB class or ID like you had.
I'm so lucky.
Yeah. So I'm just like,
I don't know why it did either. So yeah.
Yeah, that's bizarre. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. So good to know. Thanks for showing us. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. It's truly fascinating to watch how people use Divi, because I definitely have found my own preferences too. Yeah, so I use Theme Builder almost exclusively now for navigation, unless it's a super quick and cheap site. I'm not going to spend the time modifying it anyway, but so Theme Builder exclusively. Any CSS that I add for the navigation area, I use the page settings custom CSS rather than sticking it into the Divi theme options area for additional CSS. Because that one keeps that area cleaner with not having all that navigation customizations in there. And then it's also global because it carries it through everywhere I want the navigation. So I find that to work pretty well, but I haven't seen it change or add different classes to it, different pages. So that's interesting. It's really interesting. This comes up, and I think I'm going to do a meetup on this next month, child themes. But as designers, do you use child themes at all?
No.
Yes.
Oh, we're at odds here.
On everything. I don't trust not having a child theme. No.
Okay, so I'm curious. So Joan, tell me why you don't use a child theme. And then Cami, I want to hear why you do. I'm just curious.
Okay. I used a child theme one time and I found it so difficult to change anything I wanted to change. And then I kept on hearing, well, you can do this anyway in Divi, so why do you need a child theme? But then I'm not as proficient with code as I'd like to be. But then, I don't go into areas beyond my thing. The code is there. I'm not going to mess with it. I know sufficient enough to change like a few things. I can change a few things. But every time I found out that with the child theme, I found that you're on an outdated version of Divi. And then the Divi theme updates itself, but the child theme is on an outdated version of Divi. And it doesn't update itself. Only the parents theme does.
No, that's connected. The child theme is just connected to Divi. Once Divi updates it, the child theme does too. Child theme is just like a folder attached to the parent. It doesn't.
Right. Okay. But then I don't see the point of a child theme. And I got so frustrated, I eventually stopped using it. And I've never, with all the sites I've built for clients, they don't care as long as the theme works. And that they can go into the back end of the site and press the update button and they're happy.
Right. Well,
that's what they want.
Right. Back in the day when Divi first came out, before the theme options CSS all was built in, to do any custom CSS, you had to use a child theme, because if you updated Divi, then it would update the CSS editor and then it would all go away. So you had to use a child theme if you were going to do any custom CSS work. Also, back in the day and still today, there are a lot of, if you look on the back end on the Divi options, you can even see there are icons, the social media icons. There were some missing. They don't have Instagram automatically. They don't have LinkedIn. They have, I think, Facebook, Twitter. They have Google Plus. Okay, that's been gone for 2.5 years. So that shouldn't even be there anymore. So they have so what I had to do for my clients who wanted those icons on there, I had to go download the PHP file for the social icons and for the footer and put that in the child theme so I could add those icons, pull them in. But that all had to be done through the PHP code. That had to be. And still, if I want to add those, unless you buy the Divi Booster plugin, and not all of my clients want to do that, then I go in and hand code that in the PHP file, so all of those icons are available. That's a small, minute thing, but that for some clients that's a big thing, because they want Instagram, they want YouTube, and the I don't know. I guess I'm not sure if they have updated it yet, but for quite a while they had the old YouTube logo, so I had to go in and put in my own YouTube logo. And some clients want custom logos, different colors, whatever, for those little icon things is what I'm talking about. So that a child theme is incredibly important for. But now that Divi has that options thing on that CSS on the options page, unless you're going in and having to deal with the PHP at all or the functions file, you really do not need a child theme because it's all integrated now. But there are some cases, because there are things that missing from Divi, especially those icon things, unless you want to purchase, you know, I think this Divi Booster has all the logos for the all, I mean, was it 150 different social icons and things? Yeah. So, and I mean, it's a good deal. It's a good buy, but it takes me less time and I don't have to charge them so much for me just to go throw it in on a PHP file. But so that
No, I want to work with PHP.
Yeah, only if you're going to do something so specific to the theme because, it's missing or whatever, then you don't need the child theme anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, back 4 or 5 years ago, yes, you did but when they redid, when was that came out? Just before Gutenberg. Divi had that big rollout and had that whole new theme options with the integration and all that cool stuff and colors, and you didn't have to use customizer anymore. You could use the options page. That was so cool. So, yeah.
Eric, do you use child themes?
I'll say everything Cami said. I used to use child themes because of the requirements that you had to use them. And now that Divi has added the ability for like the dynamic content, you can use that instead of altering your footer within the child theme. I think there's a way to add those social media icons without the Divi booster, like for free. I think I've done it once. I was looking for it, but I can't find it.
Yeah, I know.
In the past, yes, I have done the PHP add your social media icons through that. But so for future ones, I try not to use a child theme just because it's just one layer of maintenance that you don't necessarily need anymore. So I unless the client has some specific requirements that requires a child theme, I won't just automatically put it in.
Yeah, and I use the Divi bare bones one that came from Elegant Themes. So it's so stripped down. It's just sort of like I said, a file folder for custom PHP files or whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting. So my opinion, because I know you guys want to hear it,
Yeah.
is by and large, I'm with Joan. I don't think you need a child theme anymore. Divi is just so complex and so feature rich that you don't need it anymore. However, I think the more custom work that you try to do, especially once you start to dive into advanced custom fields and other customizations like that, you need a child theme, if only for a custom functions.php file. I don't put CSS in there anymore, although that file is required to have a child theme.
Yeah.
I use it for the functions.php file, which is where I do like the dynamic year for the copyright statement at the bottom.
Yeah, see, now that needs to be.
You don't need that anymore.
Get rid of Google and the dynamic year, things like that. That it's so.
Don't need that anymore.
No, you don't need that. You can pull it in through dynamic content.
Yep, absolutely.
In the theme builder.
I'll look at that.
Yeah, we did that. Hey, Eric, we did that last night, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I use as well, to put in
the dynamic. Yeah, the dynamic content.
So it's another great example of why Divi is so great. But more for like custom post types, I end up writing my own short codes to get content to show up in specific places. That's when I use my functions.php file. Otherwise, I don't think you need it anymore. It's too old school. And
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Old school.
Any other theme, I would have a child theme. But
100%.
Divi has almost made that, like you said, it's almost like a dinosaur now, except for those very specific
You guys
Yeah.
use other themes besides Divi?
No, I'm saying
No.
anybody else,
No.
any friend that uses
No.
another one, I'll say if you don't have a child theme, you're an idiot.
No.
Yeah.
No.
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 I used to support other themes early on in my career here, but I got to the point where I just said, "Oh, I'm a Divi expert, so if you want to use something else, you're probably better off to go find someone else to help you out with that."
Exactly.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, I like
Um,
that. That's a lot better. Mhm.
Yeah. And it's so much more efficient for me to manage one theme rather than try and remember how to work a dozen others.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Somebody came the other day and said, well, would you do me a website in Elementor? And I said, no, I'm sorry. You're going to have to find an Elementor developer. Why
Yeah.
not?
And you know, when they say that,
No
I'll say,
reason.
why do you want Elementor? Now, if they have their employees that are used to doing that, is one thing. But I don't know how many, even when I turn it over to them, that they're
No, I wouldn't even
they're
touch it.
having to use Elementor.
I'm not
they're
touching it.
not.
If they do, then yeah, then they need someone else to build it. But if not,
Right.
I always say, why? Why are you using Elementor? Because I can do anything your website's doing right now.
Yeah,
In
but
Divi.
they don't believe you, and then they say, okay. Then you say to them, all right, you go ahead and work Elementor, and then about 6 months later, they say, are you still using that other theme? Then I say, yeah. Can you migrate my site from that to this? No, we can only copy and paste. That's it. No way. That's all. Copy and paste the content and paste without formatting. That's it.
And make it look better.
And make it look better. Thank you. This is getting so complex. It's ridiculously wonderful.
I know.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's
Um,
really strange.
mhm. Yeah, I had a client I think it's probably a month ago. They asked me to help basically copy an existing site so they could start like a side project or whatever. And so I did, and they're like, what do you think about this other theme? And da, da, da. So I asked them, like, why do you want to switch to it? They're like, well, it's just I'm more familiar with it. I was like, well, that's great. You'll probably need to find someone else to help you. And they totally backed off that whole idea of switching themes. They're just like, okay, totally fine. We'll stick with Divi. I was just like, all right.
Good move. Good move. Yeah.
And it's just, but I think that takes a lot of confidence too, depending on where you are with your client base and your career, to be okay if they leave. Because I'm like, go ahead and leave.
Well, I've got to that point at this point, if the client's not a good fit and I don't feel that confident in the project, then I'm not going to take it on. I just say no. And then they come back to me and say, why? And I say, I haven't got the skill. And I say, well, if I can find somebody else to help me and you're okay with working with the two of us, then that's okay. You know, I mean, I don't go beyond my skill level, especially when they want something that is really beyond my skill level, you know.
Well, the ones I come across, they just say, I want you to build me a website. They don't even ask what theme it is. They don't even know what that means, half of them. So I just say, this is how much it'll cost, and this is what you'll get, and look at all that I can do. And, you know,
like
I
that,
say,
yeah.
send me examples of what it is you like in other websites or on your site, what you do and don't like. But show me what you want on other sites. And then I'll say, yeah, I can do that, because I need to know where their head is. But most of them don't care whether it's Divi or anything. They just want a new site. So,
but another thing I found is people want to integrate now. This new thing is real estate, and with Divi, that's a whole nother complexity. And I say, hey, I know some guy who's done it before. I'll be glad to refer you to him, but I don't do that. I just
do real
don't.
estate sites. Do not do real estate sites.
You know, because it's and all of that stuff, that integration is really complex to figure out.
Yeah, not only that. Yeah, not only the integration, but every realtor corporation has its own guidelines and branding and all this stuff. You know, the logo has to be this big and this and blah, blah, blah. It's complicated, and it's
very complex.
They don't want to pay for what it would cost to get it done.
Right.
I don't care what theme you use. You know, it's
exactly.
It's very
and it's expensive.
Yeah, just the integration with MLS is outrageous, and they don't want to pay that. I'm like, well,
Right. What do you all think of the integration with LearnDash for creating courses?
I haven't done that
actually,
yet.
I haven't looked at that one yet.
It's quite
Hey,
an
John,
expensive.
There's
Huh?
there's an event you can do for a meetup.
Oh,
Divi and
what? Oh, no, not yet. No. No, I'll have to invite somebody who knows how to use LearnDash. I've been looking at it because I'm taking Josh Hall's course, and it's a good one about LearnDash and Divi, which is integrating. And it looks like LearnDash 3.0 has upgraded itself, so it seamlessly integrates.
Josh Hall.
Yeah.
Hold on. It was
creating courses, and he uses LearnDash. Josh Hall.
Yeah, because I was just looking at Elegant Themes. They just send out an email in the last 2 weeks that had. Hold on.
Oh yeah, they had a whole article on it, but it's written. I don't want to say anything, but anyway, it's written in articles kind of complicated because it doesn't really explain to you anything what all the LMS systems do. I mean, there's a ton of them out there, but not all of them play nicely with Divi. But apparently LearnDash does.
The 8 best WordPress LMS plugins. That was Elegant Themes. Hold on.
I don't know if they're the best LMS because you look at the comments at the bottom, the guy criticizes him, says, okay. Anyway, but the thing is that LMS is, LearnDash upgraded themselves, and they're like, you can only use it on one site. It's quite expensive. I guess it works great if you have a whole lot of people that you've got lots of students, then you can afford that, obviously. But if you're just going to do one course, BJ Keaton actually did you can actually put your own thing in with just one simple plugin. WP Progress or something like that. You can put the plugin, and then it gives you a widget in the sidebar, and you basically style your own course page. You don't even need LearnDash.
I mean, there's advantages, I feel like. I mean, LearnDash will take a cut out of any course that you sell.
Really? I didn't know that. Is that right?
Well, it's all about the payment integration. I mean, it's just like Shopify or BigCommerce or whatever. They're going to they'll take a percentage because you're using their payment API. So their tax API and their.
Thanks, Cami. You just helped me make my decision on LearnDash. At this point, for my first course, I'm going to do my own thing first.
Oh yeah, no, they will. But when you use your own thing, they have to pay you somehow. And sometimes, like with the WooCommerce, sometimes it's a pain in the butt to set up the taxes and the shipping and.
Oh no, that's easy. You just fill in the right information. Okay. Yep. That's a good problem to have because you've got students who are coming to pay you.
Yes. Right? How are you going to pay me? PayPal for now.
PayPal is fine. You can integrate with WooCommerce, Stripe, and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
No. So Kemi, I'm not giving another meetup on LearnDash at this point. You know what we did do? We did invite. We took Raquel up on her suggestion, and we did invite somebody from Elegant Themes, content creator. And we're having Donjede Vaniki at our next meetup, and she's going to talk about.
Is that in June?
Yeah, in June. Coming up in
June.
That. Divi aha moments.
Yeah, I
signed up for that. Yeah, it's at 12 o'clock during the day because she lives in Belgium, but her work is really stunning. She does a lot of good stuff. So I was thrilled that she said yes.
Yeah, she's gonna do a Q&A, or is she doing a demonstration?
A bit of a demonstration and Q&A.
Oh,
she's
cool.
Open to everything.
Because I know someone at the last meeting with Raquel had asked what exactly. I think after the meeting they posted what exactly are they going to do. You say Q&A, what does that mean? Are they going to? If you invite the Elegant Themes, people. So
I need to bug Raquel about that. I asked for someone and she's not responding to me.
She moved recently, that's why. I think she.
Well, moved. This is before she moved, but
yeah,
I'll bug her Cool.
Bugger again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bugger again.
Definitely.
And another one we're having, I took the initiative to invite is Ania Romanska. She is the maker of Divi Lover.
Oh,
That's
She
nice.
is an amazing, outstanding designer and stuff. And she's got her own design academy starting as well. And she
sorry, my
could
cat.
possibly do us in July or August maybe.
Well,
And then of course, Eric's going to do one, and Dustin's going to do one, and Cammie's going to do one. I'll contact you soon.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Well, my next one for Atlanta, I'm getting I'm not sure which guest speaker for this week, this month, but in June I'm doing one on images, incorporating them in Divi for best SEO and accessibility. That's something I've been really working on is accessibility, and images have seemed to be the biggest confusion for people and difficulty. And I it's not that easy, but if you're going to do accessibility, you have to understand images and how they work. So I'll be doing that one. It's the 4th Thursday of June. It'll be on the Divi Pro page when I do it. But if you know anybody who's, there's a lot to do with imagery now, especially with Google.
Oh yeah.
Accessibility and SEO and image optimization and just all of that. Makes my head spin. And
Isn't Google doing something to
I've been a
change
graphic
something?
designer all my life, so having to now worry about alt tags and ARIA and all that mess.
Isn't Google doing something strange now that's going to change your page ranking?
That's what I'm talking about. And images are huge with that page ranking. If you don't
Is
have
that
your
right?
ARIA tags, yeah.
You don't have your alt
Anyway,
tags done?
I'm gonna deep dive into just for accessibility, just the image part of it. Because if you've been to any of these accessibility meetups, I mean, your head spins. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to take one minute section of that accessibility thing and focus in on that, because that's something that everybody can do.
I'm going to contact you and schedule you to do a meetup for us for the Divi Chicago. It would be a great subject.
So I'll let everybody know, and you can tell all your peeps, and hopefully people will come. But
yes,
yeah, that's an important one for sure. So I spoke at a WordCamp on image optimization and stuff, and the whole room was like glued on me. It's like, okay, this is an important thing because you don't know. Yeah.
But this is like that and beyond. It's just it's not just
totally.
how to make your images smaller. It's how to put them in, and I mean, it's just, oh my god.
How does Google know you don't have any alt images? Because it says that the WordPress thing says, yeah, but leave this blank if it's purely decorative.
That because you have to have an empty alt tag. If Divi doesn't put it in there, which I think Divi does, but if you don't have an empty alt tag, it will just say image, and then Google goes no. Or you have to put role presentation, which is you got to get into coding. But if you just have an empty alt tag, then it knows it's decorative. Especially the screen readers too, but Google specifically will search your coding, and so having the alt equals empty quotes, it'll say, okay, it's presentation only. So little things like that I have learned.
That's amazing.
Even learning that, we don't need titles anymore. Titles are not necessary anymore on images. Alt tags are.
Alt tags are.
Finally.
Wow.
So anyway, and when to use captions and when to use long descriptions, and I just on and on. But yeah. Anyway.
Well, while I'm thinking about it, can I get a screenshot with you guys? Smiling faces for Raquel's
Raquel
diary. All right. Yeah. She's going to ask here in a couple weeks for my May report. I'm going to say, well, this was a sad one. No, this was great. Actually, I'm really glad you guys came. It was nice to kind of chat about the different ways we use Divi, because I find it truly fascinating. And as it
Especially
was
when
said,
more people here.
yeah, I
And look
know.
how much we learned. It was great. It's tremendous.
I know.
Yeah,
Seriously.
that's terrific.
Eric,
So,
I really appreciate your suggestion about the CSS. I mean the custom classes and stuff.
Classes? Yeah, check that out.
yeah,
Well,
take-
maybe
Especially for
you could
something
give a,
that's global like that.
Eric, maybe you could give us a presentation on how to actually do that.
Little
oh,
things like that. Some people don't understand that advanced tab. They don't know what that is. They have no idea.
I know what, Eric, I know what you're talking about, but if you did a presentation and you showed it and you demonstrated it, it's just like, oh, that's how you do that. Thanks.
The advanced tab. You don't have to be advanced to use it. Don't be afraid. Jump in.
Don't be afraid.
There's a title. You
That's
don't
a
have to be
good one.
advanced to use it.
I'll have
That's
to
a,
think
that's a
about
great
that.
topic. I'll contact you, Eric. We got to get this going, right?
yeah. Jones used this meetup to write down meetup topics for her Chicago group.
No, we all should do that.
I tell you, I do. I just
No, I'm going to invite Cami to talk at ours. I'm going to invite Eric to talk at ours. I'm going to invite Dustin to talk at ours. I've done enough talking at the group.
Yeah.
I like to hear from everybody else because everyone else has got so much knowledge to share. It's just
I
terrific.
agree.
I love that.
Totally, yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So I might enlist you guys as well. Kind of round out my year of topics. Let's see what happens.
Well, I will tell you, you need to, I mean, I tell my peeps all the time, look, go on to the Divi Pro meetup, and there's so many topics. And because almost everybody except, I think, who was it? Sent one of them in Florida. There's one in Florida that's actually having an in-person meetup at a, I don't forget which one it was, but at a bar. I guess they're having a get together or something. But other than that, they're all virtual. I'm like, go, because you can go to all of them.
Right.
They're free and they're online, and there's so many beautiful topics.
Right.
I totally agree. I think we're getting close to doing in-person ones here in Utah. So,
Will you
and
still continue
that'll
them
just be
online
you.
as well? Hey, Eric, Dustin, will you still continue doing it online as well as in person?
yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do it. Because it's hard to, I think, do an in-person meetup, but like broadcast it at the same time. I think it's just hard to manage two very different groups at the same time.
No. You have a virtual meetup and in the beginning of the month, and then the in-person at the end of the month.
Yeah. So that's probably what I'll do. It's do I do one like just when do I want to take the time to figure it out?
Right.
And the other thing too that I'm debating with myself is the topics. Like if I'm doing a virtual one, and a lot of even those that are local here join the virtual one, would they come to an in-person one? So do I do specific topics virtually and then just do Q&As in person, or where's the balance so that I can meet the elegant themes requirement?
Right. And that's, I mean, our meetup, main meetup Atlanta area meetup group has all said right now they will not come to in-person at all. They only want virtual right now. So we can't even think about going in person. We used to be all in person, and we were having 16 to 20 people, a month, which was great. But now they're going, no.
Is that like a COVID preference, or is that no? My schedule's so much more conducive to doing virtual meetups. I don't want to do it in person.
I think COVID was the instigator for it, but I think it's kind of a both. Now they've seen how great it is. In fact, there's a lot of people that we had when our first online event. We had more members to that one than we had in person, and that was because they were from all over Georgia. and they couldn't ever get to the in-person ones. So they were so excited to be able to come to it, to be at a meetup. So
Yeah.
that's why we said whether we do in person, whenever we do start in person again, we will also have the online virtual component with it at the same time. So we will have in person and those and virtual at the same time. So anybody can join from anywhere. And I think